Hey guys, today is a bit of a controversial video. As you can tell from my screen, if you know what I mean, I'm going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, let me clarify what this means to anyone who doesn't quite understand. The BLM movement is not that only Black Lives Matter, but rather that Black Lives Matter as well as any other race. In this video, I'm going to be covering the riots, what started them, and the difference between a peaceful riot or a peaceful protest, a non-peaceful riot, and riots that were peaceful but were turned violent by police force. If you feel offended by any of this or the meaning of this video, or you just have a completely different opinion, you can feel free to unsubscribe or stop watching this video. But if you do have a different opinion and would hear me out, then it would really mean a lot to me because I like to spread this word as much as I can. So on to what started this big movement. In full, no one can really begin to describe all of the hate and anger that started these, but we can at least try. About a week ago, a man named George Floyd walked out of a convenience store after using a fake $20 bill to buy cigarettes. The cashier called the police, and they showed up by George's car. Now, before I continue, one of the biggest areas of controversy is that George has been charged with many crimes in the past, so why is he the main hero of the story? Well, to answer that the best I can, I'd say that George was just the tipping point of the Black community and anyone who stands with them's anger. There have been many situations during this pandemic and long before that showed discrimination against the people of color, hence where the tipping point started. To continue what I was saying, the police forcefully pulled George out of his car. Keep in mind that George did not use force against the police and was completely compliant. As George is claustrophobic, he was highly anxious to step into a police car and was short of breath and just did not feel comfortable in such a small space. And because of this, a police proceeded to tackle him to the ground and press his weight into his knee, which was now laid onto George's neck. And he was putting his whole body weight in this one area, which I don't think is right because George was not being forceful and was not putting force against the police force, so this is against all of the police force's rules. And in this next picture, it is going to show an example of what was going on in the situation. I couldn't really find an exact picture and thought it could be a little too traumatizing for some of my viewers, because some of you are younger. But my apologies to anyone who couldn't see the real thing. As I was saying, George was under the pressure of a grown man's body weight and could not get him off. During this time, George was constantly saying the phrase, "I can't breathe." George was under the pressure of this officer's weight for over 8 minutes. To top it off, the neck is where the blood circulation reaches to the head, so this was also a major factor in this horrific incident. George was taken in an ambulance but was pronounced dead a few minutes later. Now that you are informed of this, this was basically what tipped the scales, and because people did not think this was right, and it obviously isn't, and their anger was just getting so big that it started protests. Let's move on. So this picture is a small example of a man who attended a peaceful protest for BLM. As you can see on his mask, the statement, "I can't breathe," is made. This is obviously from the statement that George Floyd made while under the pressure of this officer's knee. Next, we see a picture of a peaceful protest that was met by police that had been ordered to stop it. Yes, I do agree that police lives also matter, and in this case, it's likely not their choice. Most police officers are ordered to go in by their commanding officers and would lose their job if they didn't comply. But in other cases, police are using harmful weapons like tear gas, rubber bullets, etc., at their own decision, and they were choosing to do this not because someone told them, but just because they thought that they would have to. So, on to this next slide. This is an example of a non-peaceful protest that shows that some people's anger has gone a little too far. Now, this picture doesn't really show it too much, but the next picture will. Because peaceful protests are perfectly all right, and the Bill of Rights states this in the First Amendment. However, this is not a protest, but rather a riot. These are where the police should be putting their force, not on innocent people just taking advantage of their freedom of speech and press. This is the last picture, and it is the second example of a riot where people are exerting forces in ways that are harmful to others. It includes the burning of buildings and vehicles, lootings of stores and shops, and so forth. Now, that was the end of this video. Please make sure to spread this around to anyone who needs to hear it, and remember that your voice always matters, even when you're a little bit younger, like me. Keep this in your mind and try to watch the world around you and the news and try to know what's going on so you can be a part of changing this world for the better. Thanks for watching, and try to go into the world after this with a new sense of what's happening and why it's happening so that you can just know a lot better and have a great day. Enjoy your day.